Hi guys, FrostFangs here, back again, of course, with another Paladins video on the new update, Season 6 Emergence, with the new event pass, the new champion, all that stuff which I've already sort of looked at. So if you haven't seen my PTS coverage of the update, you want sort of an overview and a summary, check those videos out first, because today specifically I'm not going to be going over much stuff other than Nyx and my first impressions of her being on live, and maybe also Payload, which I didn't really get to cover, because yeah, Payload is actually back. It's here. I didn't play it on the PTS, so this will be my first impressions of Payload as well, kind of mixing two things into one, but I'm not in a crazy rush or anything because I've got enough time, as much as I need really, to cover everything else in the update. Definitely keep an eye on the channel because I have more videos, of course, coming soon. The build for Nyx is the exact same as it was last time I showed it to you, with the health, the reset, the movement speed. There's not really too much you can do, although she actually has a missing card at the moment. I suppose that I should mention, because they only talked about it on Twitter, that if you're playing on Switch, or if you're partying with someone, I think, who is playing on a Switch, you can't actually play Payload. The reason they gave for it not being on Switch is understandable, but also a little bit confusing. I'm not going to get too into it here, but basically because they're essentially re-enabling the game mode, it's never actually been on Switch, so it would have been a lot more work to transfer it over, I suppose, or I guess make it for Switch. I don't want to get too into it in this video, so I'll maybe save it and talk about it a little bit more in a different one. But we got an Eevee, an Io, a Fury, and a Drogo. Shouts to people in this one. We're up against Sati, Vora, Lilith, Maeve, and Nando. We'll go for the standard sort of thing here, go for double nimble, which I like quite a bit, although we have more credits because obviously we're on Payload. Jesus Christ, that's just really throwing me off, and this is a straight nostalgia injection. Jesus Christ, this is throwing me back. Talked about it quite a bit in the PTS videos, but man, am I happy to have a game mode back in Paladins. I would like to see it be permanent, because it is technically a limited time thing and it will be switched out with the limited mode, and I feel like that's going to massively reduce how many people play the mode compared to if it was just a permanent one. But the mode not being on Switch is a pretty big downer for me, at least, even though I don't play on Switch, just because I feel like it separates the player base a bit, and they said it's kind of unlikely to move over to the Switch in the future. I don't know what the player base sort of percentages of how many people play compared to other platforms, but yeah, some of the reasonings they gave, as I sort of said, are a little bit contradictory for like the reason that they're bringing it back, and also the fact that it's not on Switch. A lot of the stuff historically with Paladins and Payload is a little bit messy. I don't think everything really makes very much sense with how it's played out, I guess. There we go though, round one. It is quite difficult for me to properly put into words what I mean with what I'm trying to get across here, but hopefully you get where I'm going. I just hope that they bring it to Switch and that all the platforms are considered equal, because it feels really weird a game mode not being available, especially an old game mode that a lot of people are excited to have back. And I imagine that it not being on Switch is probably a reason why they made it unlimited mode and not like a permanent queue, but I could be completely wrong with that, because to me, and I think a lot of people who play Paladins, Payload, just an entire new game mode being brought back into the game is like a pretty goddamn big thing, and making it limited and not on one of the platforms makes it feel a lot less important. I feel like I've been talking a lot in this video. I guess I just had a lot more to say than I realised, but I'm not doing a great job here of playing Nyx. I did fix quite a few of our bugs, but also there's just a bunch of jank with her still, and her damage output feels lower than it was on the test server. She feels actually a little bit less good to play for me at the moment. Don't get me wrong though, because I feel like I've been overly negative here at the start of this video. I'm really happy that Paladins has got Payload back as an actual playable thing. Nyx as a character I'm happy to have in the game, and just overall good vibes, hopefully. And I don't want to like push this video down by talking about Payload not being on Switch and stuff, because everything else, or most other things at least, are good. Of course, I would love to hear all your thoughts on anything I've talked about so far in this video. Let's get rid of the Maeve here if we can. I'm playing pretty badly on Nyx. It is so nostalgic for me playing here, by the way, on Payload with the new character. It's making it feel a little bit weird. We are, I think, a 5v3 or something here. Maybe the talents are just broken. I don't really know what the hell's going on, to be honest. It's a mess of a match. It's really weird because I'm playing the new character on like a really older map with obviously other new characters and stuff flying around, playing it very differently than how it did years ago. But yeah, there we go. My first proper sort of game with Nyx on live. Of course, our requeue will do one more. I'll try and grab Nyx again. Although this video is kind of split between Nyx and Payload, I'll do separate videos for both of them, kind of. I'll just end up playing Payload whenever it's available, and Nyx I'll make another video on when she's settled a little bit in the meta, because I can definitely see her getting changes in the future balance wise, because she feels really weird to play in live. She felt a bit strange on the PTS, but I don't know what they've done to her where she feels somehow kind of worse, to me at least. Thank you all though so much for, of course, watching my stuff, whether it's been a couple days or a couple years. Going back to something like Payload has made me feel very weirdly emotional, not necessarily about the game Paladins, but more about the videos that I've made on the game, if that makes any sort of sense at all. It's kind of hard to explain what I mean, but Paladins obviously I have nostalgia for, but I have more nostalgia for just having made videos on this game for as long as I have, pretty much ever since it's been a thing that you could realistically play. With all the new characters on the old map and making similar sort of videos, it's kind of a strange feeling, but it's a good one. It's not negative, which is nice. I feel like I'm gonna have a much more difficult time in this one, but it's a nostalgia shot though with a weird aftertaste, because there's like textures missing and stuff, and that's really throwing me off. Obviously the new characters being here sort It's also kind of weird, but textures specifically, and also the fact that you can remount. I just saw him do that. I thought that this wasn't going to go through to live. I thought there was also a bunch of other stuff that was going to go through, or wasn't going to go through, that hasn't happened, which is why the update seemed way more messy than usual, even though usually, yeah, it's Paladins, it's kind of messy, but this time around, for some reason it feels a little bit more scuffed. I don't know why. We're pushing on the Charlene here, see if we can get rid of him. We'll pull him in. That didn't work. The F is still kind of weird, so right click, I'm dead here, trying to dance around the tree. I'm getting heals, but we're definitely out here any second. I'm in the middle of like 3 of them, getting kind of shredded here, but hopefully you get the sentiment that I'm sort of trying to get at with this video, even though I've not been doing a great job of explaining. It's overall very happy and nostalgic, but it's got such a weird aftertaste because of the janky things around it. And yeah, overall, even though I feel like I've been overly negative in this video, that's not really the feelings that I have towards this update. I'm happy to still be here covering Paladins after how many goddamn years playing on this map again with new characters, and the game just, yeah, overall still getting updates. It's good stuff, man. Playing Nyx though is maybe giving me a bit of a hard time. I feel like my damage output is peanuts compared to Azan here. I haven't actually played any other games in this update, so I'm not sure if remounting is going to be like a payload only thing, but even though it was in payload before, the way it's implemented at the moment feels significantly worse. You can just mount mid-combat pretty much. I really hope they do something to change the way the mounting works, because it's just scuffed. You get knocked off the mount and then you can't remount for quite a long time, but even though you're in combat, you can just straight up mount up and like run towards people. We'll pop the right click here, I guess push on him. I really don't feel like I'm doing very much. It's taking me a long time to kill this Victor. Definitely not doing the best job ever of hitting him. He's going to go for the ult. What am I even hitting? Like, why is Nyx dealing this much damage? There we go, there is he defeated. I don't know what's going on with Nyx though, because they buffed her damage on the PTS and now she doesn't have the buff damage anymore. I'm pretty sure she has the same thing she had originally, but she feels worse to play. Typically it's the other way around, where I have a bit of a jank experience on the PTS and then on live they feel better because I'm not playing with like the server lag and stuff. But right now Nyx feels pretty rough and the hits don't feel very good. Her damage doesn't feel that great, even though there we did fine, to be honest. Like I said though, don't take any of my thoughts here too seriously, because this is a first impressions. The update's been out like a couple hours when I'm recording this, and I will make another video on Nyx sometime soon after, like I said, she's settled a bit. And yeah, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on anything in this update, although more specifically the things I've talked about in this video. I'll see you guys all, of course, very, very soon. I'm looking forward to making more videos on this patch. Hopefully it does get cleaned up a little bit, but I suppose we'll see. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate you. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and as always, stay FrostFangs.